So we are going to continue our lessons on Angulimala Sutta. So we discussed a lot about culture and these cultural and the social aspect of Angulimala Sutta. We learn a little bit about from the spiritual standpoint about matricide, how bad it is. We talk about blind faith. You should not follow blind faith in anything. And now we're going to look at what Ehi Bhikkhu means here. And we'll go a little bit of this live application here too. Okay, so we are going to read part of Angulimala Sutta. Let me share the Angulimala Sutta. Okay, so now Buddha intervened and Angulimala eventually realized and changed, right? Now he is not a bandit anymore. He is blessing his mother. Now look at this picture. How is he blessing? What do you notice here? He is touching her feet. So that's also Indian culture, which still happen today. Okay, we don't do that as Burmese, do we?
No.
Do you go touch your mom's and dad's feet?
Yeah.
No, right? But in India, they do. If you want to pay real respect to anyone, it could be your mom or dad or an elderly or a teacher or a guru, you actually go touch their feet with your hand. And more so, you may even actually kiss their feet. Okay, so in India, they use that word, kiss someone's feet, meaning you actually pay respect very dearly to that person. So that's what basically he did. So basically the story tells you that Angulimala changed. Now he realized that he has been wrong, okay? And he asked Buddha to allow him to get into Sangha. So, and Buddha said, Ehi Bhikkhu. So the word Bhikkhu meaning, what is a Bhikkhu?
Monk.
Monk. Okay. Anything else?
Novice monk.
So you
Like a learning monk?
learn a monk. Okay, very good. Now you recite Metta Sutta, right? In Metta Sutta, do you see the word Bhikkhu? What does it say in Metta Sutta? Sabbe Bhikkhu, right? So then you're not a Bhikkhu, you're not a Samane. Why you reciting Sabbe Bhikkhu, Sabbe Samane? What does Bhikkhu mean here, in fact? So the definition of Bhikkhu doesn't have to be a monk. As long as you follow Buddha's teaching, okay, as long as you practice, you can call yourself a Bhikkhu if you are an adult. If you are not adult, you could be a Samane. Okay, so, but in this case here though, Ehi Bhikkhu, okay, so Buddha basically accepted him as his follower who is going to practice his way of living. Okay, so that's what I mean by here, Ehi Bhikkhu. Now another is that through the time of Buddha, because Buddha has supernatural power, that if you want to be a monk or if you want to be a nun, and provided that you had some good karma in your past life, by Buddha saying Ehi Bhikkhu, your head will automatically be shaved and you will have the robe automatically. Provided that you must have donated those robes during the time of prior Buddhas, okay? If you didn't, then you will not have that. So it's not only the power of Buddha, but also your karma from the past life. Okay, so in this case here, though, what basically it means is that now Angulimala is a follower of Buddha's path. Okay, basically that's what it means. So here, Angulimala was inspired that the Buddha had accepted him under his refuge. Thus, Angulimala entered the Bhikkhu Sangha. Now, Bhikkhu Sangha is monk. Okay, so or the society. So if you look at it down here, order of monks. Okay, Bhikkhu Sangha is the order of monks. All right, from then onwards, the the Buddha as his redeemer and refuge. With his new spiritual aspiration, a second and even greater transformation came about in Angulimala. His misguided, murderous obsession vanished totally, and in its place, the innate goodness and true potential of his metta and karuna broke loose. He now aspired to be the symbolic lotus that sprouts through the murky waters of a muddy lake and blossom for all to enjoy its beauty, brilliant radiance, and fragrance. Okay, I would like one of you to interpret these beautiful sentences for me and explain why this is so beautiful. Who want to try? All right, Yudi, go ahead.
I would love to try. Like just that paragraph in general.
No, this he noun.
Because like the lotus, because if you remember the story of how Buddha became enlightened, the lotus kind of became like a really symbolic image of enlightenment and kind of seeing the way. Because when Buddha, and yeah, and also like it's kind of like a metaphor in a way, because when it's talking about, because if you think about it, the muddy lake is kind of like all the wrongdoings that he did and all like the suffering and all the bad things that happen in the world, and the beauty, brilliant radiance, and fragrance is kind of like enlightenment and how you see the truth and walk the right path. So yeah.
Very good. So we Burmese use this analogy quite a lot. Okay, if someone is really, really bad and suddenly change and now become a leader or an example for the community in good sense, then we give this example. Okay, a lotus flower, okay, coming out of a murky, muddy water. So for example, a child grew out from a ghetto. Instead of becoming a thug, that child become a famous leader in the community for the good sense, or become a very educated person. So the same thing for Angulimala, he was in the murky, muddy water. Now, either because of Buddha or his own sense, he changed. Now he became a monk, total opposite from one end where he was a killer, a serial, notorious, very fierce killer, to a very mild, gentle follower of Buddha practicing meditation. Okay, so that symbolism is very commonly used in Buddhism. Okay, whenever you see a lotus flower, okay, that represents a lot of things. One of the representation is this meaning. Okay, now Buddha himself, we symbolize Buddha also as a lotus flower, because in our human society, we are filled with what? Bad things, like what? Greed, anger, sorrow, suffering, right? Fighting, killing. But among us, Buddha, yes, a human being, but got rid of all of those and became our spiritual leader, show us the way to liberation. So that's why we call Buddha, or we symbolize Buddha as the lotus in the muddy water. Okay, so the most beautiful lotus actually grow in muddy water. Lotus itself is beautiful, but in surprise, it's in the muddy, dirty water. So that's the symbolism here. All right, so we're going to skip a little bit and we'll read. So then her mother is so very happy his mother, not her mother, very happy because her son has changed back to the way that she wanted. Okay, and she gave him the food and he donated to Buddha. All right, so we're going to read. So for the sake of time, I'm going to skip a few pages. But I'm going to ask you a question because a lot of you read the story already. So who want to tell us about this picture? Kim Pasandi pays homage to Buddha. Why? Anyone of you would like to enlighten us? Why Kim Pasandi pay homage to Buddha? Thomas?
Because he turned Angulimala into a monk.
Not yet, not yet. Yeah, all right. The Kevin?
It's because the Buddha got Angulimala to stop killing people.
At this point, the king does not know that Angulimala is now a monk. Not yet. Why did he come to Buddha?
Oh,
Ted.
because the king followed Buddha, and also the king wanted to warn Buddha about Angulimala.
Half right, half wrong. Anyone else?
Oh, is it like a tradition?
Andrew?
He was asking for ways to like defeat Angulimala.
Much better. Yes. So it is the tradition of Asian country, the kings or the generals, before they go for a war, they will go to a temple or a monk, or during the time of Buddha, to Buddha, or if they believe in other religion, they will go to their spiritual leader and ask for a blessing. Right? So now the king and his soldiers, are they scared of Angulimala? Yes, they are, because he killed thousands of people. He is considered to be very powerful, right? Very swift. So, but also is their tradition, before they go for any war, they will go to their spiritual leader. So that's how he came to the king. And on the other hand, also the Buddha temple, Buddha monastery is outside of the city, near the road to where Angulimala was staying. So he was paying respect to Buddha and telling Buddha what he is planning to do. Then what did Buddha say? Did he?
He said so when the king talked to Angulimala, he was all like, Okay, so let's say he saw Angulimala, he's like one of my disciples, and like, he's turned good. He's not killing people anymore. What would you think to do?
Okay, then what was the answer?
His answer wasn't okay. Then I'd respect him and then like give him alms and like honor him because yeah. But then he said that because he obviously didn't believe that would happen. Then it did happen. So
Very good. So the Buddha asks the king why he is having a military expedition. So Buddha even asks, are you going to invade neighbor country? Or the neighbor country invaded us? Right? So the Kenneth. So then Buddha said, if that Angulimala that you mentioned is now following my order and practicing meditation, what would you do? Right? The king said, I will pay respect to him, bow down to him. Remember, that's the benefit of being a Sangha, right? So we discussed about this. I taught you this before. When the king asks before, what is the main benefit of becoming a Sangha? One of that is you will be respected, right? Even though he was the worst bandit, serial killer before, now that he is practicing monk, the king will forgive him and bow down to him. So that's what the king did, because he's a great king. Right? So Angulimala Thera. Thera mean here, mean monk. Even though the king can forgive, okay, the villagers, when he go out for food round, can they forgive him? No. Why, Jackson? Why can't they forgive him?
Because he killed thousands of people and they still feared him.
Yeah. So, for example, if Angulimala killed his son, if they know that this is the same Angulimala who killed their son, even though he has changed now as a monk, shaved his head, wear a saffron robe, their mindset is what? This is the killer. He killed my son. So what happened? They're angry, right? So instead of giving food, what do they do?
Throw rocks.
They throw rocks at him. Right? That's the law of karma. So let's imagine if you are this guy. Let's imagine you are a father and Angulimala killed your son. If you see Angulimala like this as a monk, what should your mindset be? Sophia 1.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
If you are this guy and Angulimala killed your son, and if you see Angulimala like this, even though he changed as a monk and bald, how should your mindset be? Should you forgive him? Should you be angry?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
that's a good one. It's a
Okay.
very complicated role.
Ricky?
And we should forgive him.
Okay. So it is really easy to say we should forgive him. So your answer is right, we should. But at that moment, what will be happening in your heart, in your mind? What kind of emotion will come to you? Revenge, hatred, right? That's normal. If someone kill your son, your father, your mother, your brother, and you see that person, you will be very angry, right? But as a Buddhist, if you're sure that that person has changed, apologize to you, you should forgive. If you don't forgive, is your son going to come back to you alive? No. Right? So that kind of thing happen in the real world, right? Oh, he killed my brother. I'm going to kill him. So what will happen to you if the police catch you? Will police forgive you just because, oh, the guy that you just killed your brother, so now you're even? Go. Is the law like that? No, right? The law does not allow you to kill anyone, whether you kill in revenge or not, right? So it is a different story. If the same killer who killed your brother is trying to kill you, then for self-defense, you can protect yourself, right? But you don't go after that person for revenge and kill that person. All right, especially if that person has changed or that person is already put in prison. Is there any point of being angry anymore? No, because you'll be the one just suffer, right? So even, yes, it is really easy to say forgive, but remember you will have those emotions. You'll be angry, you'll be upset, you'll be crying. Oh, this is the guy who killed my son, my brother. But on the other hand, you as a Buddhist need to understand that it is the past, gone. This guy now already changed. So you should not be throwing stone at that person. You should try to forgive. All right. So Angulimala, at that time, he is not an arahant yet. He's not liberated, right? Do you think he's happy? No. People are throwing stones at him? No, he's not happy, but he's not angry, right? He knows that that's because of his bad karma he did because he killed so many people, but he still keeps on going to the community and asking for food, not because he needs food, but because he wants to pay back and all the karma that he did. So he went to different cities, different towns, and he got the same response. No matter what, he continued to be a monk. He continued to practice meditation, practice compassion. All right, so let's read this part about the act where the Angulimala Sutta came about. All right, Tata Kenna, could you read this for us, please? One day. All right, Kenna's having some audio difficulty. William, could you read this? One day.
One day on his daily rounds for morning rounds in the village, Angulimala Thera came upon a house where an expectant mother was screaming in excruciating pain. She was suffering from prolonged throes of labor. Everyone in the family was afraid that she would not be able to bear it any longer, and that she and her unborn baby were in grave danger. On seeing Angulimala Thera on that fateful day, the family elders rushed him and implored him to relieve the pregnant mother from her woeful state. They desperately pleaded him to use his spiritual powers to save the pregnant mother and her unborn baby from imminent death. Angulimala Thera confessed his inadequacy in handling temporal matters such as childbirth. He regretted that he could do nothing to help the sorrowful plight of the expectant mother, as she had no training and skill in delivering a baby. The deep anguish among the family members caused him great disappointment and a feeling of utter helplessness.
Thank you, Dad. So one day he went to a family for food rounds, and happened to be that a little someone is trying to deliver a baby and she couldn't, and she is going to die, and so is the baby. All right. Okay. So Tata Kenneth, can you read now? Deep compassion.
Me?
Kenneth. Okay, Kenneth's not available. Tata Hanzo, could you read that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, can you read this for us? Deep compassion.
Yes. Deep compassion arose in him over the sorrowful state of the expectant mother. He felt miserable over his inability to relieve her suffering as he walked back toward the Ravana monastery. His mind was engulfed with misery over his inability to do anything to overcome the pre-grandmother grave condition. His heart was weighed down over the sad reality of human suffering. He questioned repeatedly, how do human beings suffer? How much do they have to suffer? How can I help their suffering mother? How can I help the unborn baby who is about to die? If gonna have done any harm or wrong to anyone, one should not innocent yet to be born baby suffer such a cruel fate. In the past, I have to kill so many innocent people. May I have the strength now to save life and be a worthy disciple of the Buddha.
Thank you, Dad. So that's what Angulimala is thinking when he ran into this certain situation. So he went back to the monastery and he talked to Buddha about what he saw. And Buddha noticed that Angulimala was really troubled in his mind, and he has very deep compassion. That compassion of Angulimala is so big for the expectant mother to be free from the current suffering and pain. So Buddha decided to teach him. Tamikai, could you read this for us after discussing?
After discussing the flight of the pregnant mother, the Enlightened One taught Angulimala Thera a short Parita Sutta and requested him to return to the village and recite it out loud to her and the unborn baby. The Buddha instructed Angulimala Thera to wish the expectant mother well and pray for the safety of the unborn baby through Satchakriya. That is through the power of assertion of his personal purity. He was to assert the truth of the personal purity by reciting with intense concentration of the mind and utmost sada. The Prita Sutta, the Enlightened One, had taught him.
Thank you to me. All right, so I want you to pay attention to this paragraph because this paragraph tells us how to make our Satya Kriya to be powerful. Okay, so after discussing the plight of the pregnant mother, the Enlightened One taught Angulimala Thera a short Prita Sutta. So when you look at it, Buddha's discourse recited as protection. Okay, a short Prita Sutta basically is the Parita. Okay, Parita Sutta. Now, the sutta itself meaning a story or a discourse. A Parita is a shortened version of the discourse. Okay, make it into a solemn truth so that you can use it for protection of different things. So that's the difference between Sutta and Parita. So you will have Angulimala Sutta, basically the whole story, like this whole book that we're reading is Angulimala Sutta. The Parita that we recite is only 3 paragraphs. That is the Parita. Now, you can read the Sutta, you can recite the Sutta, it will not be powerful. It will not help you with any protection. Whereas a Parita is designed for you to protect you from certain things, depending on what Parita you are reciting. So requested him to return to the village and recite it aloud. Now, if you want, you can underline this. So you're going to recite it aloud to her and the unborn baby. Now remember, when I taught you about other sutta before, like Mangala Sutta, right? Metta Sutta. Okay, so you're going to read it aloud and you're going to read with incantation, right? Now it's the same thing here. The Buddha instructed Angulimala Thera to wish the expectant mother well and pray for the safety of her unborn baby through Satchakriya. Okay, so here, Satchakriya, assertion of the truth of personal purity. Now, I want you to underline the personal. If you're not purified, if you don't keep 5 precepts, your Satchakriya is not going to work. Right? If you're killing animals, but you want yourself to be free from suffering, not sick, or you pray for your grandmother who is sick, but meanwhile you're killing animals, do you think your Satchakriya will work? No way, right? So that's why here it is very important that Satchakriya is nothing but your personal, your self-purity, how pure you are, how strong your Buddhist belief and practices. So that is through the power of the asseveration of his personal purity. He wants to assert the truth of his personal purity by reciting with intense concentration of mind and utmost sata. So now, first, you're going to read it aloud. Second, talk about you got to be purified, meaning you got to at least follow 5 precepts. You're going to keep your 5 precepts very strictly. Then he was to assert the truth of his personal purity by reciting with intense concentration. Here, the word intense. You can just superficially say, may my mother be happy and healthy. It's not going to work. Okay, you're going to have intense concentration of mind and utmost sattva. What is sattva here? confidence of faith based on knowledge. Okay, not blind faith, right? You're gonna have the knowledge, the right knowledge. The Parita Sutta, the enlightened one had just taught him. So these are the requirement of reciting any Parita, any Sutta. But every time I teach you any Sutta, I explain to you in detail that these are very important, right? So Satya Kriya Paritas, some of the Paritas are Satya Kriya Paritas, right? You just basically say that this is the solemn statement of truth by me. For by the power of that solemn truth, this and this should happen or be happened. So here, you're going to recite it loud. Okay, you're going to have the purity of yourself, basically keeping 5 precepts. You're going to recite with intense concentration of mind and utmost sadhana. Right? So when you are memorizing the Angulimala Parita, try to practice it by reciting loud, making sure that at least at that moment, during that moment, okay, your mind is well focused, intensely focused, making sure that you're not breaking any 5 precepts, not physically, not mentally even. Okay, that way that any Parita that you recite will be very, very powerful. Okay. All right, so I am going to stop here tonight.